After quitting my dream internship to support us financially, I found my wife applying for grants as a single mom entrepreneur. When I confronted her, she said, "You're just a donor to my dreams." I reported her fraudulent applications, and watched as every one of her accounts was frozen by the IRS. I, 32 male, gave up everything for my wife, 31 female, and she called me a donor to her dreams before pretending I didn't exist on government paperwork. We've been together almost 10 years. Married for 6. We have a 4-year-old daughter, Ellie. She's the only good thing that came out of this mess. I met Leah in community college in Roanoke, Virginia. She was the creative, follow your passion type. Always working on some kind of idea, handmade jewelry, natural soaps, a podcast, an Etsy shop. Nothing ever stuck for long, but I loved her energy. I was quiet and more career-focused. I was studying computer engineering and had my eyes set on a robotics internship that could launch my whole career. We got serious fast. Moved in together by the end of the first year. She got pregnant during our last semester. It wasn't planned. I was 24. She was 23. We talked about it, abortion, adoption, but she wanted to keep it, and I wasn't going to leave her hanging. So we did what we had to do. We got married in a small courthouse ceremony. No family. Just her sister as a witness. I started working part-time at Home Depot and later picked up tech support gigs while finishing my degree online. Leah stayed home with Ellie for the first year, then started talking about getting her own thing going. At that point, I'd been accepted into a major internship at a robotics company in Palo Alto. It didn't pay much the first few months, but the track record for full-time hires after the program was solid. It was my shot. When I told her about the internship, she cried. Actual tears. Said I was being selfish. That it would mean she'd have to give up her goals to raise our daughter alone. She said I wasn't thinking about our family, just about my ego. She said if I really loved them, I'd stay. I stayed. I said no to the internship. I started working 50 to 60 hours a week, Home Depot, plus DoorDash and Uber at night. We moved into a small apartment outside of Blacksburg. Rent was cheap, neighborhood quiet. Leah started working on a smoothie business idea she had. I told her I'd support her however I could. She bought an old trailer off Facebook Marketplace and turned it into a mobile smoothie truck, Sunbliss Juices. I helped her with the branding, the website, even made the logo using free design software. She applied for every small business grant she could find. I was proud of her. At first. Then she started winning some of those grants. At first it was small, $1,000 here, $2,000 there. Then she got an $8,000 payout from a Women in Business Recovery Grant for single mothers. That's when I started seeing things that didn't add up. One day I saw a printed confirmation letter on the table. It said, "Congratulations, your application for funding under the Single Mother Entrepreneur Support Grant has been approved." I froze. Single mother? I asked her about it that night. She laughed and said, "That's just how they label it. It's a formality." She brushed it off. But the more I paid attention, the more stuff I found. Mail coming in addressed to Leah Simmons, head of household. Applications that said, "No other adult income in household." Bank deposits under her business name that weren't getting reported anywhere I could see. I knew what I was looking at, fraud. And not minor, overlook it fraud. I'm talking federal grants. Government money. She was pretending I didn't exist so she could get checks. I didn't confront her right away. I was in shock. I didn't know if I was overreacting or if I was just bitter about giving up my dream and watching her cash in. Then one night after Ellie went to bed, we got into an argument, about groceries, of all things. I said we were tight this month, and she lost it. Said I wasn't pulling my weight. That I didn't understand what it meant to hustle. She said, "You don't fund vision, you fund survival." I said, "I fund everything. I've been working non-stop so you can live your dream." "You're not a single mom, Leah." That's when she looked me dead in the eye and said it, "You're just a donor to my dreams." No emotion. No shame. Like she'd been waiting to say it. I don't think I've ever felt that level of betrayal. I was supporting her so she could build something for our family. She was using me for labor and lying on forms like I didn't exist. After that, I started taking pictures. I waited. And waited. About 5 weeks later, things exploded. She woke me up one morning screaming. Said her business account had been frozen. Thought it was a glitch. Then her PayPal got locked. Stripe too. Emails started coming in about pending investigation. One of the grants even asked for a refund due to false certification. Then the IRS got involved. They showed up at our place asking questions. She cried. I sat there with Ellie, feeding her cereal like nothing was happening. Leah said she didn't know anything. That it was a mistake. That someone else must have filed wrong. But they weren't buying it. She got hit with multiple audits. Her business license was flagged. Her accounts, frozen. She lost access to every single one of her funding streams. She finally figured it out a few days later when I refused to speak to her. She screamed at me. Called me a rat. Said I ruined her life. Asked how I could betray the mother of my child. I said, "You betrayed me first." We separated after that. She moved in with her sister. I stayed in the apartment with Ellie. Filed for full custody, and with the ongoing fraud investigation, she didn't stand a chance in court. She was still being looked into last I heard. She had to pay back thousands in misused grant money. Her name was put on several grant watch lists. She's not allowed to apply for any federal funding again. Her credit score dropped over 200 points. And now she's got a fraud risk flag on her tax account. I told her once. If she had just admitted what she did, if she'd even tried to say sorry, I might have let it go. But she never did. And now she gets to build her dream from scratch. Alone. After Leah moved out, things were quiet for a while. Too quiet. At first, I thought that was it. She was gone, Ellie and I had a routine, and maybe karma already did its job. But people like Leah don't go down without trying to drag someone with them. 2 months after she moved in with her sister, I got a letter from the IRS, not about her, but about me. They were reviewing my tax returns now. Apparently, some of the grants Leah claimed had my name tied to the original business registration. I had helped her set up the business early on. I signed as a co-owner before she switched everything to her name without telling me. Now they were asking why I hadn't reported that income. I felt like I'd been kicked in the throat. I called the number on the letter and explained everything. I sent them copies of the grant forms she submitted with my name missing. I even sent screenshots from her own website saying she was the sole founder and visionary behind Sunbliss Juices. They told me to submit a statement and let the investigation play out. So while I was raising our daughter full-time, working, and trying to move on, I had to hire a tax attorney just to make sure I didn't get dragged down with her. It cost me $3,800. Money I didn't have, so I had to dip into the little savings I'd started building back up. Meanwhile, Leah was telling people I ruined her life. Word got around town. Blacksburg's not that big. Her sister posted on Facebook that I was a bitter ex who couldn't handle a powerful woman's success. She didn't mention the fraud, of course. Just that I hacked her files and destroyed her small business. Leah started posting TikToks. Yeah, TikToks. She made this account called @SingleMomRiseUp and started telling this made-up story about how she escaped a controlling marriage and how her husband tried to sabotage her small business because she was finally doing something for herself. She even said I threatened her when I found out about the grants. She never said my name directly, but it wasn't hard to put the pieces together if you lived in town or followed her socials before. The videos started getting traction. One of them hit 200K views. Suddenly she had followers saying things like, "You're so brave. Screw that guy, your story matters. He's just jealous you were making more than him." I felt like I was losing my mind. This woman defrauded the government, blew up our marriage, lied on paperwork, and now she was being treated like some victim hero? I wanted to respond. I wanted to go online, drop screenshots, show proof, blow her whole narrative apart. But I didn't. Because of Ellie. I didn't want her growing up seeing her parents tearing each other apart online. I didn't want her to Google our names one day and see the dirt. So I stayed quiet. Until Leah made a video with Ellie in it. Yup. She posted a clip of Ellie sitting in her lap, talking about how strong mommies are. She was using our daughter to push the fake, single mom, story further. That was the final straw. I called my lawyer. He filed a motion to restrict Leah's online activity involving Ellie. I also filed to amend the custody agreement. If she was going to use our kid for sympathy points online, she didn't deserve joint anything. My neighbor called the cops. She left before they showed, but that wasn't the last I heard from her. A few days later, someone tried to file a fake CPS report on me. Said my apartment was unfit for a child. Said I left Ellie alone while I went to work. CPS showed up, did an inspection, asked some questions, and cleared me the same day. But I knew exactly where that came from. Leah never learned. She'd rather drag everyone down with her than own up to anything. But what she didn't know was, I wasn't done either. I had more. More proof. More lies. More shady moves she made during those years I supported her. And if she kept pushing, I was ready to make sure the IRS, the grant agencies, and even her precious TikTok fans knew the real Leah Simmons. So I thought the fake CPS report was the lowest she'd go. I was wrong. 2 weeks after the visit, I got a notice from my employer's HR department. Someone had sent an anonymous complaint saying I had a criminal history related to financial fraud and a pending investigation with the IRS. My stomach dropped. I work for a robotics company now. I finally got that internship, late, but they let me in, and after proving myself, they hired me full-time. It's a clean job. Background checks, security clearance, lots of sensitive systems. Even a whisper of fraud could screw me. I sat down with HR and explained everything. Showed them documentation. Told them about the situation with my ex, the grant fraud, the IRS stuff, even the custody fight. I offered to sign anything, let them run any check they wanted. They backed off after a week. Said it was a non-issue and they appreciated my transparency. But the damage had already been done. I was now that guy in the office, the one with drama. The one people talked about in the break room when I wasn't around. And I knew exactly who did it. Leah was trying to burn my life down brick by brick. And for what? Because I stopped her from scamming the government and using our kid for pity points online? The worst part was that she was still posting. Still building her fake, single mom boss babe narrative. One of her TikToks even showed her starting over, in a new apartment, with candles and motivational music playing over a voiceover about rising from betrayal. She kept tagging things like #women supporting women and #mother hustler. Meanwhile, she hadn't paid child support in 3 months, and I was the one covering Ellie's food, school supplies, daycare, everything. I tried to ignore it. Focus on work. On my kid. On getting back to a normal life. Then another twist hit. Her sister, Mara, messaged me out of nowhere. We hadn't spoken since Leah moved in with her. Mara always took Leah's side. They were two peas in a pod, loud, impulsive, always scheming about some new business or social movement. But this message was different. She asked if we could talk. I said no. She insisted. Said it wasn't for Leah. Said she needed to tell me something. Out of pure curiosity, or stupidity, I agreed to meet her at a diner just off Route 11. She showed up looking tired. Hair in a messy bun, no makeup, hoodie and jeans. Not her usual vibe. First thing she says after we sit down. She's going off the rails, man. I don't know what to do. She meant Leah. Turns out Leah was hiding more than I knew. Mara said after the IRS froze her accounts, Leah opened new ones under a fake business name using a shell LLC she created online. She started applying for grants again under the name Leah Jameson, claiming she had moved to Tennessee and was a domestic violence survivor starting a new life. Mara showed me some of the applications she found on Leah's shared Google Drive. One even had my name listed as an abusive partner, with a fake police report she drafted and never filed. I almost threw up. Mara said she didn't want to be involved, but she was scared. Said Leah had this switch lately. That she'd go quiet, then talk for hours about taking back her power and burning him down before he ruins me completely. I thanked her for telling me. Took screenshots of everything. I even asked Mara to email them to my attorney just in case. And then I made a decision. I filed a formal fraud alert with the Office of the Inspector General, again. This time with updated info, new names, fake reports, shell businesses. I attached every new screenshot. I sent it certified mail and email. I copied the IRS too. If she wanted to play dirty, she could keep playing. But I wasn't just playing defense anymore. I wanted the people she scammed to know. I wanted the grant agencies she defrauded under a new identity to freeze her all over again. I wanted TikTok to see the truth. I wanted her dream to turn into a nightmare she built with her own hands. But most of all, I wanted to protect Ellie from growing up thinking this kind of behavior was normal. Or worse, admirable. And trust me. What came next? It made everything before look like a warm-up. About a month after Mara gave me the proof, things got quiet again. Too quiet. Leah stopped posting on TikTok. Her Single Mom Rise Up account was wiped. Her Instagram disappeared. I didn't know if she went underground or was just regrouping. I figured maybe she got scared. Maybe the fraud reports finally caught up with her again. But then I got a phone call from a woman named Crystal. She worked for the Tennessee Office of Economic Development. She asked if I had ever been in a relationship with a woman named Leah Jameson. I said yes, except her real name was Leah Simmons, and she was my ex-wife. Crystal sighed. Turned out Leah had applied for a $15,000 rural business grant in Tennessee using a fake name, fake backstory, and a forged letter saying she'd survived domestic abuse and had escaped Virginia with her daughter. She said she had no contact with the child's father and needed a fresh start. And she was awarded the grant. She'd already received $6,000 before someone flagged the application because it was too similar to one from another state, from Leah Simmons. The investigator had started digging, and my name came up. They asked me to provide all documentation I had. I did. Everything. Every message from Mara. Every screenshot. All the previous grant forms. The business registration data. Even the fake police report she wrote and never submitted. They said it was more than enough. And that's when the avalanche started. The Tennessee agency opened an investigation. They contacted the IRS to reopen the federal fraud case. This time, with new charges tied to her using a false identity and forging documents across state lines. Federal. Then the Virginia Small Business Association, who had already audited her before, filed a legal complaint to pursue full reimbursement of all previous grants, plus a 2x penalty for fraud under state law. That was nearly $38,000 she owed. Next came a class action from a group of small businesswomen in Virginia, some of whom had not received funding because Leah had taken one of the limited slots in their program by lying. They sued the fund, and the fund sued her. And here's where the real justice hit. Her name, Leah Simmons aka Leah Jameson, was blacklisted from every federal and state grant program in the country. For life. Her bank accounts refrozen. Her business license permanently revoked under fraud statutes in both Virginia and Tennessee. Her social media accounts gone. Why? Because TikTok got a subpoena. One of the grant offices issued a subpoena to the platform to review her video content. They pulled footage where she made false abuse claims, used her daughter as proof of being a single mother, and monetized the account under a fake name while actively defrauding the government. TikTok banned her for life. No appeals. No backup accounts. Done. But it didn't stop there. Remember the fake police report she wrote? Well, forging that document, even if she never filed it, was still a crime. The state charged her with misuse of official documents and identity fraud. She was arrested at her new apartment in Nashville. Booked. Mugshot. Court date set. And here's the twist that even caught me off guard: she blamed Mara. Told the judge her sister manipulated her into the fraud, that Mara helped her write the fake documents and file the grant apps. It didn't work. Because Mara had already turned witness. She submitted her own affidavit weeks before, clearing her name. And the emails and messages I saved proved Leah was the one doing it all. The judge shredded her argument. She pled guilty to 2 counts of fraud and 1 count of forgery. Sentenced to 18 months probation, 500 hours of community service, and ordered to repay all grant money. She can't open another business. She can't apply for any government program for 10 years. And here's the cherry on top: she now owes me nearly $12,000 in legal fees and child support back pay. Garnished straight from her wages if she ever gets another job. As for Ellie, she's safe. Happy. I've got full custody. I switched jobs, started working with a smaller robotic startup in Roanoke, more time at home. Less stress. I tell her the truth in age-appropriate pieces. She knows her mom told some big lies, and has to fix those mistakes before she can visit again. She doesn't ask about her much anymore. And me? I'm not innocent in all this. I should have seen the signs sooner. I should have pushed back when Leah twisted things, made me give up my internship, manipulated me. I gave too much for too long without setting boundaries. That's on me. But I've learned. I learned that real love doesn't ask you to give everything and call it support. And if someone tells you you're just a donor to their dreams, make sure they never forget who really funded the truth. Because when it all came crashing down, I wasn't the one left standing in court with lies in her mouth and shackles on her wrists. She was. And that's the story of how my ex tried to erase me from her life to chase free money, and ended up losing everything she built, because she built it all on lies.